Alright, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Today is Wednesday. This time we're not going to be solo queue. We're going to have a random person. Uh, Probably lots of bunch of games with me. Right, so I am already in the dream state. As you can tell, I just mumbled something random. Yeah, good morning. I already did it. I just said that today it's going to be very quiet because the bugs in the water are coming from the other mother. So all I get to sit here and just chill. Yeah, and around a different country, if a soldier isn't gay, they die. I don't know where that came from. It's actually golden hour, by the way. Really, it's just golden hour, but I guess. Alright, I think we're finally awake. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. So, yeah, it's been what? We actually woke up slightly early today, but that didn't really do much. So, yeah, this morning was pretty much a blur. We even like overwalked as well. Yeah, but basically today was very quiet, very just out of it, sleepy and all that stuff. We really need to like sleep 1 hour earlier or something. I think we're in like the negatives currently. It's alright. Hmm. This is the one of the goats. Is there anything else to talk about? Well, we never really we never really talk about anything either to begin with. Yeah. So is there anything else to talk about? No, not really. That's why I didn't even talk. I mean, one we were sleepy. No, it's like one was still sleepy, but like two, there's nothing to talk about anyway. So that's why we don't really wake up. We're around like 4 5s. Okay, we're slowly waking up, but I just don't know what there is to say. There really is nothing to talk about now these days. All I know is that for our Aberration series is very good. Quite series is also we still need to do that. Maybe visit Expired Earth. We actually played Overwatch for like 5 hours yesterday, only because I wanted to win the game, and we did in the end, so it's fine. There's nothing really to talk about. I think I just need to drink the rest of the water. Drink all the water done. I should probably check the weight as well. Are we awake now? Yeah, but it's just still. There's nothing to say. The only thing to say is just we should probably sleep slightly earlier, and that's it. That's it. Like, what else do you say? Everything's just working how it is, usually is. You made sure it was a bit sleepy, but it's not a big deal, right? We still do what we gotta do. We should quickly check our weight, and then we're gonna finish the rest of the things. Shoulder day is always the fastest, anyways. Shoulder day is like one of the fastest. We're probably like 71 kgs again. So 70.7. You know what I mean? Anyways, yeah, like for some reason, uh, no, never mind. There's really nothing to say. I mean, yeah, sure, it's golden hour, but what is there to say, really? Okay, since I'm awake now, the only thing I'm actually quite excited about is today we're going to be going mass aberration. Dude, I got yesterday's aberration episode was actually kind of crazy, so we got to do a lot of aberration today. I'm determined to beat it now. We really got to rethink our strategy and aberration. Honestly, I can't wait though. I really can't wait. Also, yeah, and for Overwatch, we're not gonna play ranked anymore. It sucks, I swear. We're literally just quick 6v6 is literally just the best. 5v5 is just too. It's not worth. It's not our style. Maybe today's just gonna be a mess out thing. Oh, I wasn't. Damn, I wasn't counting how many of those we just did. I think we did a lot more than we were supposed to do, but that's okay. Whatever. Hmm. Oh yeah, by the way, you know when we had that speed camera thing, right? Like a couple months ago, I finally got the ticket. So that dog, no, not dog, but that speed camera guy, he actually was scanning. Even though he had no lights on, he was still scanning and we still got a ticket. The ticket arrived after 2 months. But yeah, it's like 80 bucks, bro. $80 dues 2 months ago. And they didn't even have the lights on. No lights on, just speed camera there. Actually annoying. It's fine though. But the actual crazy thing about it is that what do you call it? What's crazy about it is that the speed was 61 and the zone was 50 at like 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. whatever time it was. Actual, like, bro, whatever. But, anyways, yeah. Is there anything else to talk about? Pretty much today's probably just gonna be a very long ARC day. Maybe some Overwatch. My PC is still rendering right now. See how it goes. Right. When it comes to Overwatch, I'm not gonna make highlights. Just gonna make. I'm just gonna upload the full VODs. Yesterday we got tilted as well. I got so tilted. Whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, there's nothing really else to talk about, huh? Yeah, I really can't wait to do some ARC today. And did I abandon my phone? I actually did. Hold on. So what is there to exactly do? Oh wait, hold on. Yeah. So today, well, okay, we're awake now finally. We actually woke up like 20 minutes early today. Like I said, my rule is that if I wake up early, it's like there's no point in going back to sleep. So, yep. So what do we do today? Yep. Basically, sleep walk, sleep train. Now we're gonna go back HQ and go Alpha 3 regime, food, editing, dips and pull-ups, food again, and then I need to organize all of the videos and data. Okay, and then I guess we can probably be earlier today and do 1 to 2 hours of Overwatch, then 1 to 2 hours of maybe 1 to 3 hours of Aberration, 2 hours of Aquatica, 2 hours of maybe Extinction, or yeah, because if I'm not doing like editing highlights, I save myself a lot of time. Well, not save, but I basically have more time to make more content, right? That's about it. Really should sleep early though, not gonna lie. We really should sleep early. Like, be more awake. It's just recently, yeah, we've been pushing a bit of the streaming. Not streaming, but we've been pushing the time we should be. What am I saying? It's not bad, but yeah. Luckily, we're okay now, so now the drive back to HQ is not going to be dangerous. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate it again. Alright, see you guys next time. And yeah, everything's just fine, really, because even the macro regime's fine. Right, we're literally that 71 kgs was basically because we ate late. But we really are still just at the end of the day ranging again. Because look, we're back to like 70.7. Yesterday was 70.65, so we're really just ranging again. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate it. Alright, see you guys next time. Do I give you guys a story video? I have to give you guys a story video today. No doubt about it. I have to give you guys a story video today. Yep. Alright.
What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Alright, so I'm going to look into this. We're going to look into this thing over here. Scary stories for a cold, unsettling, and chilly night. It's apparently 1 hour, so we're going to have to split this into like hundreds, but let's give it a go, right? Lock in. You giving me an ad. Shut up. Alright, we're going to see if this is good or not, right? Lock in.
My brother was working casual shifts for a private security contractor. They supplied overnight guards to locations that didn't warrant permanent staff. And one of his short-term assignments was a rural cemetery that had ongoing vandalism issues, mainly teenagers damaging headstones and breaking into old mausoleums.
Who would do that?
The job involved slow vehicle patrols, use of handheld spotlights, and calling local police if trespassers were ever found. No weapon and no partner. The cemetery bordered open farmland and scrub, and at the time the area had a known problem with dumped dogs forming loose packs. This wasn't rumor. Local councils had issued notices about it, in fact, and my brother had already seen stray dogs there on previous nights and wasn't particularly alarmed by them. Now, on this night, shortly after midnight, he noticed a larger than usual group of dogs near the back section of the grounds.
Okay, so a cemetery. His friend is working as a security guard, and people drop off dogs there, and then the dogs form a gang. Sounds believable, right? I guess. Where to get into food, though? What they're eating? That's my question.
He estimated maybe 7 or 8 of them, and
Whoa.
among them was a large Rottweiler-type dog.
What?
Several mixed breeds with him, and one small white dog still wearing a faded harness. That detail stood out to him because it clearly had not been feral very long. The dogs weren't aggressive toward him or the vehicle. They were just sort of moving around, sniffing, and occasionally play fighting. So he continued his patrol as usual, and about 20 minutes later, while driving with the window down and the spotlight resting on the doorframe, the dog suddenly became very agitated. He described the sound as a shift from random barking to focused alarm, short, sharp, and aggressive barks, and then they all stopped at once. Immediately after the silence, he heard a noise that he couldn't identify. He struggled to describe it without referencing fiction, but said that it was a mix of strained human voice and an animal distress call, with a harsh, vibrating undertone. But what bothered him most, though, was that it carried directionally, like something moving quickly rather than echoing. Seconds later, something crossed the headlights at a speed that was unbelievable, is what he said. He described it as tall, light-colored, and moving unevenly. The dogs followed immediately, and his first concern wasn't fear. It was actually that the dogs were chasing another animal or someone's escaped pet or something. He parked, took the spotlight, and followed on foot. The barking intensified, and then that same noise happened again. This time he said that he thought that he heard a word buried in it, though. Something close to help, though he admitted that it could have just been his brain forcing meaning onto a sound. In any case, he reached a row of older mausoleums and shone the light toward the noise, and the dogs had cornered what he initially assumed was a deer. But but the longer that he looked at this thing, the less that it fit. The animal was thin to the point of distortion.
Okay, so he's like a security guard for a cemetery. There are random dogs around, and then there's another animal that came out of nowhere. The dogs chased that animal and cornered it. He walked outside, flashed a shine light, and it's some kind of skinny animal. Okay. He's just doing his job. Maybe get your... Yeah, okay.
Its coat a uniform grey rather than brown, and it was standing too close to the wall to move naturally. When the light hit its face, the eyes didn't reflect at all. He said they looked sort of flat, in fact, like there was nothing behind them. The dogs were circling and snapping at this thing, but each time one made contact, it recoiled violently, gagging sort of and backing off. None of them attempted to bite again except for one. The Rottweiler came from behind my brother, passing close enough to brush him, and it charged. It hit the animal low, knocked it off balance, and bit down hard. At that moment, the animal emitted the same sound again, louder this time, and struck the dog with its front leg in a way that my brother said looked deliberate rather than reflexive, and seemed impossible. The dog released immediately, though, and the animal fled. It didn't limp. It moved quickly, and the dogs followed it out of sight. My brother, completely spooked at this stage, returned to his car quickly.
Smart.
And ended his shift shortly afterward.
Okay.
He never filed a report beyond noting wildlife disturbances, and he refused further assignments at that location. 3 days later, he asked me to come back with him during daylight, and he wanted to check for something. Near the same mausoleum row, the small white dog with the harness was still there, and it was skittish but friendly, and we did manage to get it into the car at one point. That dog, well, she lived with us for another 5 years. She never showed any aggression toward anything.
Wait, the story's still going on? They took in a dog with a harness on, and then 5 years later.
But always panicked during storms and reacted badly to certain sounds at night. Otherwise, she was a good dog. Now, I don't know what my brother saw, and I know that he's not prone to exaggeration, and I know that the dog was real because, well, I carried it home. But everything else in this story just sits in a space that I cannot verify or dismiss. What has always stayed with me is that my brother swears by everything, and, well, he's never been the type to lie, especially to me. For some context, I help my mother a few evenings a week at a roadside service station that
What?
she owns.
Was that the end of the story?
It's located on a secondary highway outside of a small agricultural town. There's nothing nearby except for some paddocks.
Wait, that was it? Bro, this man needs to timestamp these videos. That was it? Okay. Nothing happened. Was it like a hidden meaning? Do you not think that dog's real or something? That story didn't really make too much sense because the context really lacks, right? Because you said you've adopted that dog for 5 years and nothing's happened. So then it's fine, right? Nothing happened. Okay. Whatever, next story. I guess it's kind of a bit weird, not gonna lie, because it ends so fast.
Outside of a small she owns.
Okay, next story, I guess.
It's located on a secondary week at a road. For some context, I help my mother a few evenings a week at a roadside service station that she owns. It's located on a secondary highway outside of a small agricultural town.
Alright.
There's nothing nearby except for some paddocks, a truck pull-off area, and a closed roadhouse a few hundred meters down the road. After dark, traffic stops off almost completely. So this happened in early of July of 2021. My mother messaged me that afternoon asking if I could cover the evening shift from roughly 5:30 until closing at 10:30. I agreed and arrived just before sunset, and she spent most of the night in the back office doing stock orders and paperwork or something.
Yeah, right.
While I was handling the counter and restocking. Now, at around 7:45, while I was refilling the drinks fridge, the front door sensor chimed and I went to the counter and saw a man already standing near it. He appeared to be in his late 40s or maybe early 50s. His clothes didn't really match the weather, heavy boots and worn trousers, but a clean and thin jacket. His movements, though, were unsteady, not exaggerated and just sort of poorly controlled, as if his balance was delayed. When he spoke, it took a few seconds to understand what he wanted. His speech was slow and sort of fragmented, and his eyes were noticeably bloodshot. I initially assumed alcohol, possibly combined with exhaustion, which isn't totally uncommon with long-haul drivers in this area. He gestured vaguely toward the hallway, and I pointed him to the restroom without further interaction. He returned a minute later and stood at the counter without saying anything. He didn't look at me directly, but instead his eyes sort of drifted between the ceiling, the floor, and the window. His skin looked unusually pale under the fluorescent lighting. His trousers were heavily soiled around the cuffs, but his upper clothing was clean, which struck me as very inconsistent. After standing there in silence for nearly a full minute, he turned and left without buying anything. He then turned and left without buying anything. Less than 5 minutes later, another man entered the store. He was much younger, early 20s at most, dressed in clean, branded streetwear that didn't fit the rural setting. He immediately asked if I had seen a guy who shouldn't be on his own, adding that the person had wandered off. He described someone who didn't resemble the first man at all, but I told him that a man matching some of the behavior that he described had been in the store briefly but had already left. As he spoke, I noticed the same traits though. Delayed speech, unfocused eyes, and a sort of odd flatness in his expression. His pupils were constricted, and his face had the same sort of washed-out tone. What alarmed me most, though, was that he was barefoot. The car park outside was wet and near freezing, and he turned and left before I could say anything else, but I tried calling out to him, but he didn't respond or slow down. At that point, I told my mother what had just happened, and she told me to alert her immediately if either of them came back, and suggested that we keep the front door locked between customers for the remainder of the night.
Even more smart.
Thankfully, they didn't return.
Okay.
When we closed,
Sometimes you just get the odd bunch, you know, it is what it is, right? Sometimes you just get some odd people, it is what it is. You can't do much about it, you know? You can't really stop people from just entering a shop, right? You never know.
Up just after 10:30 and walked to the car, I noticed a vehicle parked well away from the main forecourt lights. The younger man was sitting in the driver's seat. All four doors were open and the engine wasn't running. He was staring straight ahead, hands in his lap, completely still. My mother didn't see him and I didn't point it out. I wasn't sure why, but at the time I told myself that there was nothing actionable to really report. No threats, no confrontations, no clear emergency. Well, the next morning I checked the local police notices and there was an eerie report about a guy who had apparently broken into a house, held somebody hostage with a knife and, well, had left before the police had got there, and now the police were asking for information from the public. I told the police about what I had seen that night, and to make a long story short, they actually caught this guy, and yes, he was the guy who had broken into this house and had apparently held some poor family up with a knife or something. His accomplice was the guy in the car, and, well, they had apparently made their way to us that night, and, well, the police got them in the end. I am grateful that nothing happened to us that night, but from what I heard from the police, the guy was high as a kite on something, and that he was completely unstable and So yeah, that explains his behavior and also a lot of the conditions of that night. In early 2000,
Okay, we're not gonna continue this video anymore. It's far too short. Okay, that story. Basically, you're working at a gas station. I'm just gonna say it's a gas station, right? Because it sounds like a gas station to me. Sounds like a gas, or some kind of station, right? Or auto repair shop or something. It doesn't matter. Look. Strange customer came in, used the bathroom, left. Not a strange customer. You know, next day they're the. What can you do about that? Honestly, though, the mother, very smart. Lock the door for all customers until you get someone to come in. Very smart. And yeah, that's about it, right? I mean, W mom, right? She's basically the reason they. Yeah, right? Again, though, you can't really do much about that situation because you really just. It's not really your business, right? Like, you can literally. Literally, a mass murder can just walk into your store and you serve him like nothing happened. And you never know, right? It's like. You just don't know. You know, it's like that. You don't know. It's just customer transaction done. Boom. Goodbye. That's about it. There's no kind of, you can't really do much about that. It is what it is, right? Because like, yeah, I mean, what can you do about that? It's the same as when criminals on the loose and they just like shop at a random store. No one knows. No one cares. It is what it is, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, actually, let's go one more story. Let's go one more story, right? One more.
16, I was renting a one-bedroom unit in early 2016.
2016.
I was renting a one-bedroom unit in a mid-rise apartment complex near Tacoma, Washington. The building dated back to the late 1970s and had been renovated multiple times. Nothing about it stood out too much. No reputation, no local stories, no obvious red flags.
Hold on, I need to go to. I'll be back. Hold on. I returned. Let's go.
Working irregular hours at the time and sleeping pretty poorly, which is relevant to the story. So one night, sometime after midnight, I woke up unable to move. I recognized it immediately as sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis,
I'd
yep.
experienced it twice before in my life, in fact. My breathing felt shallow and I couldn't speak. That part wasn't new. What changed, though, was the mental imagery. Instead of the usual sense of pressure or panic, I experienced a detached perspective, as if my awareness had shifted away from my physical position. I perceived myself lying on the bed from an elevated angle, not sharply defined, but more like an impression than a visual scene.
Yeah, third POV.
In this state, there was a second presence. I didn't see a clear face, but I registered long hair and the sensation of my head being supported, like somebody was holding it steady. The dominant feeling wasn't fear, it was neutral, almost procedural-like. Like an interaction that had rules that I didn't quite understand. There was no spoken dialogue, but I had a strong impression that I was being prompted to identify the person. Not threatened, but encouraged. I resisted the idea, mostly because the experience already felt way too intrusive. At some point, the pressure to engage intensified, though, and then the episode ended abruptly. I woke fully alert and emotionally unsettled, as you could probably imagine, though not panicked completely. I wrote it off as an unusually vivid night terror episode.
I just go to the gym after that. Sleep paralysis? What time is it? It was like 1 hour before I have to go to the gym anyway, so just bounce out of bed and just go, right? It is what it is. Sleep paralysis. No, I think I've talked about this before in my older vlogs, but I've had it before, but it really is just a mental thing. If you think about something scary is gonna happen. If you don't think about something scary, nothing's gonna happen. number one trick. If you think of something bad, I mean, no, not bad, but if you think of something like naughty or I don't know something, right? Then you're gonna that's gonna happen. It is what it is, right? Sleep paralysis is just mental state, you know. If you truly were scared of something and you start thinking about it, it will appear. But if you really just start thinking about like just something random, then it won't happen. Plus, you wake up anyways. Just gotta breathe. Be like, oh, I'm in a paralysis. No, you know, it's kind of like this. It's gonna be a bit cringe to say, but it's the only way I can really communicate with you guys saying it. It's like, you know, if you have a sleep paralysis and you're, oh, I hope a big black, no, I hope you see, that's the problem with me, right? I'm not really scared of anything, so I wouldn't really say, but let's pretend someone's scared of skeletons. Oh, I sure hope a big skeleton doesn't come with a chainsaw, because then he'll appear, right? But then, if you say something like, oh, if you, for some reason you like, you like a slime. Oh, I sure hope a big slime doesn't come here. Well, how do I say it? Okay, I'm gonna just be brutally honest, right? I'm gonna be brutally honest here. But for sleep paralysis, if you imagine it properly, you'll get what you want. So, you know, most people when they have sleep paralysis, they start thinking about like demons and like ghosts and scary stuff, and then they'll appear, right? But if you have a sleep paralysis, you be like this. Oh, I sure hope a big woman with big breasts come get me. Oh no. I sure hope that doesn't happen. And then you basically Aikido the sleep paralysis, and then you get some kind of whatever.
I just didn't tell anyone.
You get what I mean, right? This is gonna end up in like in the future, right? But you basically just reimagine, like, oh, I sure hope, you know, a waifu doesn't. What do you call? I don't know what do you guys even call them? I'm gonna just have to use the old slang. I'm gonna just have to use the old slang here. It's the only way I could say it properly without cringing. Oh, I sure hope a big Le Hongdae guard doesn't come to get me. That'll be really bad. Sleep paralysis. Oh no, I really hope one doesn't appear next to me. Uh-oh. And then they appear and you're, oh, sweet. Does that make sense? You Aikido the sleep paralysis. Instead of thinking of something scary, you think of something good. And then the moment the sleep paralysis is giving you what you want, they're gonna stop because we're like, hey, you're not the okay, no, never mind. It's like what do you call it? Mattresses? No, not mattresses, but like it's the same idea of those like people that like to get hurt, like, oh, I sure hope you don't beat me up. Ha ha ha. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Well, the next day I found myself fixated on the building. I looked up its permit history. Next day I found... I wrote it, probably imagine, though not panicked completely, and I just didn't tell anyone. Well, the next day I found myself fixated on the building. I looked up its permit history and old listings. Not because I expected to find anything specific, but because I couldn't stop thinking about the apartment as a physical space rather than just where I slept. I didn't find anything remarkable. No deaths, no police reports tied to my unit.
Oh, that burp was really bad. I just got a terrible burp. That's just a bit disgusting. Anyways. Yeah, I'm not going to continue stories about basically belief. Basically about belief in what you believe in, and anything you say, it can be curated. So what do we learn from today's episode of these stories? We're not doing them again. Can I remember what the stories were? Okay, first story was a weird animal. Second story was a gas station, weird customers. Third story is just about self-belief and like things, right? That's about it. This is probably gonna get me in the future, huh? Talking about like Aikidoing sleep paralysis demons or something, right? But it does make sense though. It doesn't happen often, obviously. It's like you just believe in something different and it'll appear. So like instead of believing in something scary, you think of something sexy and then that 60 thing will come get you instead. And then when the sleep paralysis thing recognizes that you're actually getting happy from it, then they're gonna stop, and then you basically win. Win-win. No? Does that make sense? I swear that makes sense. I'm just, you know what I mean? It makes sense though. I think I can say it in a better way though. It's kind of like, let's say a villain, right? A villain kidnaps you, and you say, "Oh, sir, please don't chop my arm off." He's gonna chop your arm off. "Oh, sir, please don't give me $1 million. Look, I don't want the money. All right, just don't give me $1 million." And then they give you $1 million. Oh, sweet ass. Huh? I actually wanted it. So that you can think of sleep paralysis like that. A kidnapper will give you what you are thinking of. So that's basically sleep paralysis to a degree. That's not really real though. It just really depends on what you imagine and if you're aware of it. Pretty easy to be aware of it though. You just try to move your body. And you honestly my method works the best because I don't really, I mean, it's not like, I think it's only happened like once and it stopped ever again. But if you do have a sleep paralysis, just think of something very perverted and you'll win. You'll win regardless. You'll snap out of it. You know what I mean? Done. Right? You guys enjoyed that real quick? Alright. Done.